One of my favorite things about going back and replaying video games is gaining a whole new perspective on them. New Game Plus has been a roller coaster of emotions. My opinions have shifted and changed and grown and adjusted. And for better or for worse, I'm glad I'm doing this. Of course, it's not all gravy. Over the last few years, some games have been remade, so I've been replaying the latest versions to suss out what changes or improvements have been implemented, or if any meaningful completion criteria have been incorporated. In the case of the Luigi's Mansion remake for the Nintendo 3DS, the changes made to the game are downright terrifying for completionists. Come with me as I experience a remake gone wrong when I recomplete Luigi's Mansion.
Yes!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Completionist New Game Plus, a show where I'm recompleting the first 120 games from the original Completionist lineup. And this week is a very special episode. Not only is it because it's Halloween, and because we're doing Luigi's Mansion 3DS with 2-player co-op with Luigi, but we also have returning PeanutButterGamer.
Hey, I'm here.
I'm here too. Ted, you're not in this episode. It's 2 players, me, Austin, and our 3DSs, not you.
But I'm here.
Leave the shot, Ted! Leave the shot!
I get to be Googie.
Luigi's Mansion is one of those games that came out of nowhere and surprised everyone. For a Nintendo launch title on a brand new system, it was a surprisingly low-key game that gained a cult following and turned out to be one of the most fun games I've ever played for the GameCube, especially when I played it back in 2012.
Luigi has always been a favorite character of mine, and I even put Luigi's Mansion at number 1 on my top 10 favorite GameCube games video, with a few notable games being excluded. A lot of Luigi's signature awkwardness comes directly from this game. His awkward humming, his nervous demeanor, his fear of everyone and everything around him, it's all here and I love it.
The story is simple, yet hauntingly familiar. Mario is missing, and it's up to Luigi to find him. Luigi explores the creepy mansion that he won in a contest and uses a vacuum to suck up ghosts and earn as much money as possible, which honestly seems more like a Wario move to me. But it works, and vacuuming up ghosts while exploring the mansion is still just as fun as ever, even if it's on a smaller screen. The playstyle is still really inventive and unique. So very Nintendo.
When developing this game, Nintendo could have easily decided to make another platformer just starring Luigi instead of Mario. But I thought it was great that they went in a completely different direction than everyone was expecting. And in the process, they firmly established that my guy Luigi is the most reluctant Ghostbuster of all time. He's a trailblazer.
I'd love to hear if your thoughts on this game have changed, because I grew up with this game in the GameCube the same way that you did. I really enjoyed Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube, and you and I gave it a finish it last time around. But I still feel like you might have crystallized some more thoughts in the last 7 years since we first reviewed this game together.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'll never understand how Nintendo puts such great games on such tiny little discs. And let's not even bring up the fact that Switch games are like the size of my thumb. It's so tiny. How do you...
PBG, focus up.
Oh, my bad. I still think that Luigi's Mansion is incredible, and it holds a special place in my heart, for sure. The GameCube is absolutely full of magic, and the fact that Nintendo put a traditionally second-rate character into the spotlight was pretty cool.
No, that's more like it. Of course, for this episode, I actually played the 2018 remake of the game on the Nintendo 3DS. Now, this remake was co-developed by Nintendo and Grezzo, the same team that Nintendo trusted to handle the recent Link's Awakening remake for the Nintendo Switch. I think it was a genius move for Nintendo to remake this game just a year before Luigi's Mansion 3, so that anybody out there who missed out the first time from way back in 2001 could get a chance to get caught up on all that sweet Luigi lore.
Grezzo? Grezzo sounds like if Lizzo and Grimace had a kid who was into game development. I'd say this remake is actually fairly different from the original GameCube version. Our only real complaint in the first video was that Luigi's Mansion was pretty short and kind of easy, so you'd think that we would enjoy this new version on the 3DS, right?
You'd think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think people would think that, Gerard.
Not like this, PBG. Not like this. This remake is like a bully who takes even the slightest criticism and then use that as a model to mock me. Like, oh, you wanted more content? I'll give you more content.
Gerard, you're starting to scare me. You're even scarier than the ghost that lifts weights. What does he need muscles for?
You should be scared. I think it's great that there's more to do in Luigi's Mansion 3DS, because I really like the foundation that they set up. However, the sheer amount of stuff that was added that I now had to do to complete was just too much. The new content is enjoyable, but overall, I think it dilutes the good stuff from the GameCube version. I think we can both agree that Luigi's Mansion is a great game. The remake's fundamentals are still very solid because the base game is still really good. To me though, the new content that was added in the 3DS remake is content for the sake of content, and completing it legitimately spoils what is otherwise a fantastic game. Now, to beat this game, I had to fully explore the mysterious mansion. This game is part adventure, part puzzler, and every room hides some kind of secret. There are 4 main areas, each one haunted by poltergeists large and small. And it's up to Luigi to ghost bust his way through each area and bring the vacuumed victims to Professor Egad, the Egon to Luigi's Venkman. Professor Gad turns the sucked up ghosts into portraits, and aside from finding and rescuing Mario, that's kind of the bulk of the game.
It's a real shame about the remake's controls. As everyone knows, the GameCube controller is the best controller known to mankind. So to go from that to the 3DS, especially as someone with fairly large hands, is a huge downgrade. The controls mar the experience of the remake, especially when you're trying to catch every freaking boo in the game.
Now, some improvements and features have been implemented, like having a map on the second screen, but the other stuff just doesn't work unless your hands are on the smaller side. And if you're playing on the new Nintendo 3DS, the little nub instead of a second control stick is probably the biggest offender.
Gerard, you talking about the nub is making me feel a little bit awkward. Could you stop?
Look, the nub is bad, and so are the gyro controls. Being able to use all the weird tools built in the Nintendo 3DS is cool, but not at the expense of precision and being able to play the game well, not to mention being comfortable. To fully complete this remake, I had to play this game through 12 individual times, and I was begging for a set of joysticks that I've been used to over the years by the end of it.
Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube really showed off what the system was capable of, and there are glimmers of that on the 3DS remake. I really liked that there was a way to track portrait ghosts in this version, and I think the Amiibo support functionality was really well done.
So in kind of a surprise of sorts, the Amiibos were crucial for the completion process. The Luigi Amiibo provides an extra life and reveals secret ghosts in rooms. And slapping Toad on there makes it so when you save the game, it heals Luigi. Because of how many different runs there are to do in the remake, little bonuses like this were absolutely essential for me.
I also liked that the Boo Amiibo is essentially a snitch. Using the Boo Amiibo shows where all the other escaped Boos in the mansion are, sold out by their own kind.
Yeah man, these Boos ain't loyal. I think a great feature that isn't executed very well is the addition of series newcomer and sentient humanoid goo pile, Gooigi. Now, there was no multiplayer in the first game, and I think it's a really cool idea to bring it here to the remake, but doing so with the Nintendo 3DS technology destroys the frame rate. But it also really helps with a lot of encounters since having a second vacuum stream makes capturing some of the ghosts way easier.
Something about Gooigi. He's like a living Gak. Remember Gak, by the way?
It really feels like for every good idea that was worked into Luigi's Mansion 3DS, there were 2 more that were just extra padding. A list of achievements was worked into this remake, and it's a great idea, in theory.
In theory, Nintendo could absolutely start doing achievements for a lot of their games. And in the Luigi's Mansion remake, it feels a little bit like they're dipping their toes into what it would be like to create really elaborate and frankly ridiculous achievements.
In practice, the 5, count them 5 lists are completely ridiculous. To get every single one, I had to methodically plan out every single playthrough, which absolutely killed all of the fun for me. In this game, Luigi earns different ranks depending on how much money was found during the playthroughs. More money equals a better rank, and a bigger mansion is awarded at the end of the game.
Oh no, don't tell me.
Oh yeah. In other games, if there are achievements tied to earning a certain amount of thingies, and you do the maximum amount of these thingies, the game will throw you a bone and unlock all the thingies that are beneath the threshold. With me so far?
I think so.
Apparently, that made too much sense. That was the main reason I had to go through this game a dozen times, because you don't unlock the lower ranking achievements when you hit the higher ranking ones. This one was really frustrating because I loved playing the first game, even years later after I started the show. I think adding in an achievement list tied to different tasks is a great modern idea and one that could work great in a remake. But the execution right here, folks, was so So frustrating.
Would you say that you didn't have a ghost of a chance in completing each of the 5 achievement lists? Gerard, you see what I did?
What? Austin, were you listening to a word I was saying? I did it all. It was hard. It made me upset.
No, not really. I've only been sort of listening, actually. I'm just over here thinking about whether Googie could be in Smash or not.
Unbelievable. Luigi's Mansion 3DS has so much added to it that it almost feels like a different game than the original. However, all that extra content doesn't really add that much to the experience. It's still a fun game, but doing every little thing isn't worth it. The amount of time I put into completing the remake completely surprised me, especially since the GameCube version is pretty short. For almost every achievement, I had to be playing on the more difficult Hidden Mansion mode. This is unlocked after beating the game for the very first time. There's also a gallery area just like in the original game, but it has been almost completely redesigned. There are still portraits of all the different ghosts in the mansion with different colored frames to unlock, and in the 3DS version of the Hidden Mansion, it's possible to get platinum frames. To unlock these platinum frames, I had to deal 140 damage out of the possible 150 in each ghost in one pull, without taking a certain number of damage myself.
Hard, but doable. I see what you mean about the Amiibo being incredibly helpful here.
For sure. Again, getting 140 damage in one pull isn't that tall of an order, but having to do it on the Nintendo 3DS is just so much more difficult than it needed to be. I will say the Platinum Frame shows some cool poses for the ghosts, which is admittedly kind of cool, but to me, that didn't feel like enough.
The rewards you get for doing the achievement lists are pretty weak too. Even finishing the Master Achievement lists, which required speedruns, and finishing the game while never dropping below 80 health, only unlocks a little statue in the gallery. It really seems like there could have been some more substantial rewards for that.
When we recompleted Luigi's Mansion, there were 0 deaths because we were always able to keep ourselves healthy with my stash of Amiibo. 12 playthroughs total. Each one plotted out to a ridiculous degree so we could get every single achievement in an efficient way. 45 achievements completed, a solid idea that unfortunately doesn't pay out in anything meaningful. 55 hours of total playtime, and one absolutely stunning giant mansion that Luigi has never once hosted a party at. What a terrible host.
Luigi's Mansion for the 3DS is one of those games that should not have been made for the 3DS and instead should have been made for the Nintendo Switch.
My biggest problem with it personally is the game just wasn't meant to be a co-op game, but for some reason they just made it be one. Also, the frame rate is just not very good.
And when it comes to completing this game, this is one of the worst iterations of a port that incorporates new functions and features that is way too much. Things like getting every single mansion ranking for the gold you get, things like getting the platinum frame for every ghost. It's way too much for this game, including the achievements they added. It's very bizarre. So, with that in mind, guys, we give this game its new completionist rating of Play It!
Play it!
Damn it, Ted!
Play it!
That's all the time we have today, guys. So
Gerard,
please,
my back hurts.
Yeah, me too. Sorry. Okay. That's all the time we have today, guys. So please, as always, let us know what this episode somewhere on the internet, guys. A big thank you to PBG. I'm so happy you're here joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this episode's super important to the history of the show. It was like my first real collab with a YouTuber. And
It was the first time we even met in person.
It was. There's that picture of you, me, and John at Chipotle. That was one of our first normal boots type things together. So it was a lot of fun. Guys, please go check him out. He's about to do a bunch of Zelda month content as always in November. I'm sure I'll be in there. I'm not promising anything, am I? Am I overshooting?
No.
Okay.
If I finish it, it'll be there.
It'll be there when it be there. Go check him out. There's a subscribe link on screen right now. And while you can subscribe to me and like this video, hit the stupid bell, comment down below. This is PeanutButterGamer, and we'll see you guys next week for another brand new episode. Bye-bye.
Watch it.
Watch all this stuff.
I'll know if you don't.
Ted, what are you doing?
Plus the ghost.
You didn't even see that?
Plus the-
Cut
plus
this.
the ghost.
Cut this. Cut it.